Hey, y'all.
Thanks, DJ. Life is inherently risky. Everything is a risk. Taking action is a risk. Doing nothing is a risk. But it's up to you. For me personally, I had to do something. I had to take a leap of faith, so to speak. You may or may not already know this about me, but I unfortunately suffer from major depression and anxiety and have for the last 21 years. There have been several contributing factors such as health issues and events that also triggered PTSD. Over time, I allowed myself to become isolated and paralyzed by fear. It came to a point that doing nothing, accepting my current life or lack thereof, was riskier than making changes. My comfort zone was a beautifully safe place, but it was extremely lonely. My desire for more led me to take the smallest steps in the right direction. Those baby steps became the biggest steps of my life thus far. It was difficult to face my fears, but once I did, the fear of what could go wrong was replaced with the excitement of what could go right. Simply walking into this church over a year ago was a great risk, because everything that matters in life is a risk. Years ago in college, I took a similar risk and joined a UU group that was focused on community outreach. On our summer break in the early 2000s, we went on a mission trip to the Reverend State Home of Kentucky. We traveled all the way to Hazard County, which at the time was the poorest county in the United States, all the way from Denver, Colorado. After a long, exhausting 2-day train ride, we arrived to find our accommodations were the floor of a gymnasium at a local school. Needless to say, I was much younger and a bit more limber then. The next day, after our arrival, we hit the ground running. I, along with the rest of the group, had been looking forward to our mission trip and was excited to get to work. It was obvious just how much was lacking and how much was needed. Saying it was a poor area would be an understatement. There was so much help needed in this community, and we were only there a week to do what we could to help. A small group of us were given the responsibility of re-roofing a home. Initially, I thought this would be a great skill to acquire. You know, a useful skill and knowledge to have in the years ahead. Then I suddenly remembered my fear of climbing. I knew in that moment, beyond certainty, that I couldn't allow my fear to control me. Fear is temporary, and I decided that I would not forever regret not taking the risks, so I climbed. Despite some friendly teasing, I made it to the top, which is where I chose to stay each day. While others enjoyed their breaks on the ground, I simply enjoyed the view. After all, there was no way I was going to climb the ladder more than I had to. Nothing could have matched the experience I had there in Hazard County. When the week was over, we were so proud of our accomplishments as individuals and as a team. We had changed one family's life for the better, and I conquered a fear in the process. The last day we were on the roof, we shared the neatest experience as a group when we saw what is known as a halo or whirling rainbow around the sun. We couldn't believe our eyes. While meteorologists have a physical, scientifically understanding of the circular rainbow around the sun, it is said that wisdom keepers of the Americas and Tibet have a spiritual understanding about the dramatic omen around the sun. The phenomenon is known as the whirling rainbow. For some traditional Native people, the whirling rainbow is a sign from the Creator, marking a great time of change or transition on the earth. Some elders understand it to be a sign to people of the necessity to live a life in respect and harmony with all creations that make life possible. Plants, animals, waters, minerals, fires, wind, and fellow humans. This ancient American Indian prophecy is said about the whirling rainbow. There will come a day when people of all races, colors, and creeds will put aside their differences. They will come together in love, joining hands in unification to heal the earth and all her children. They will move on the earth like a great whirling rainbow, bringing peace, understanding, and healing everywhere they go. Men and women will be equals in the way the Creator intended them to be. All children will be safe anywhere they want to go. Elders will be respected for their contributions to life. The whole human race will be called the people, and there will be no more war, sickness, or hunger forever. The earth we will be called to take a huge risk. As you see, life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. Having the courage to risk an individual or collective identity for a bigger, better future is about as big of a risk that can be taken. Often, it's take the risk or simply lose the chance. Sometimes change involves taking uncomfortable risks. In my opinion, it's worth it. Last spring, I decided to make myself a bit uncomfortable and step outside of my comfort zone. I kept telling myself I was braver than I believe, and I came to this church for the first time. The thing about bravery is that it doesn't come without fear, anxiety, or even hurt. Bravery is the ability to face these fears and do it anyway. I can't tell you how happy I am that I took the risk and took those steps into this community. The risk paid off. Risk-taking led me to change. I am now busy living and loving my life rather than being isolated. I don't have time to focus on fear, anxiety, and the regret that once consumed me. As one author wrote, the day came when remaining in a tight bud was more painful than the risk to blossom. So I took one tiny risk and I bloomed. Now, risk-taking doesn't mean you have to face a tremendous fear. It's a bit simpler when applied to everyday life. So not to worry, you don't have to go and climb a ladder. Consider these 5 ways that you can take some smaller risks. Number 1, take the risk to free your heart and make room for love. Number 2, take the risk to free your mind of worries and find peace. Number 3, take the risk to live more simply and find joy in your soul. Number 4, take the risk to give more with compassion. Number 5, take the risk to expect less. In taking these risks, you'll either find happiness or wisdom. If you believe, like I do, that stepping outside of your comfort zone and taking small risks daily is a good way to live, then I'd like to challenge you to ask yourself the same question that I asked myself over a year ago. What would my life be like if I did something outside of my comfort zone every single day? And I'd like to challenge you not only to ask yourself the question, but to live it for 7 days and see what happens. When you came in the sanctuary today, you were given note cards. It's simple, really. You'll take the cards, you'll put them by your bedside or somewhere where you'll see them daily, and every morning when you wake up, you'll write down one tiny risk you would like to take that day. Something outside your comfort zone that would make your life richer or better. Here are a few ideas. Speak your mind. Call someone you haven't spoken to in a long time. Go someplace new. Write down a big goal and take one small step towards your goal. Talk to a homeless person. You get the idea. Before you go to bed, turn the card over and write down how you felt when you took that risk. When the 7 days are up, look back through the cards again, read your responses, and ask yourself, is my life better today than it was 7 days ago? If the answer is no, then feel free to stop. But if the answer is yes, welcome to an exciting new world, Welcome to the community of the whirling rainbow. Take the risk to make changes that will bring great joy. Sometimes simply saying yes can set your whole life in motion. And that can change not only our lives, but the world which is so desperately in need of a great change. Blessed be.